Sigma male is not a personality. It's time to explain how a stupid idea from the world has made its way into mainstream culture. I'm talking about the idea of a Sigma male, who supposedly exists in addition to alpha and beta males. These groups of Greek letters are meant to show where someone stands in a hierarchy and what kind of person they are. That should be enough to show you that they don't make sense. Hierarchies are made up of jobs, not traits that people are born with. No one is a general, quarterback, or CEO by birth, except, of course, the boss baby. We like to think that a person's personality is what makes them great. It's a fantasy trope, but it's a cute idea. It doesn't have much to do with psychology or even reality. Cinderella can marry a prince because she is kind, pretty, and good. We like the trope because we can picture ourselves as the one who is chosen. So where did all of this come from if it makes no sense? Animal behavior studies have disproved the idea of the alpha male. Before we talk about Sigma males, we need to talk about alphas. Rudolf Schenkel wrote a paper about how wolves act in 1947. It was based on what he saw at a Swiss zoo. He wrote that the alpha pair seemed to be at the top of a hierarchy. David Mech, another wildlife biologist, wrote a book that made the word alpha popular, but after studying wild wolves, he changed his mind. In real life, wolf packs don't have a hierarchy like that at all. This post on Gizmodo talks about where the alpha wolf idea came from and why it's wrong. In short, wolf packs are like families, with parents and children. Parents hunt to get food for their young. They oversee the pack in the same way that parents oversee their own families. For example, they make sure that the youngest ones have enough to eat. Some wolf packs are more complicated than others, but they are all based on family and not on fierce competition. The idea of a hierarchy also spread to dog training, where it was popular for decades for trainers to punish dogs to make them think that they, the trainer or owner, were dominant in a pack hierarchy. This wasn't a good way to explain how to train a dog, either. Patricia McConnell, an animal behaviorist, says that owners taught their pups to roll over to show who was boss, but wolves don't usually do that. Instead, the younger or submissive animal in a pack of wolves rolls over. Wolves and dogs do have a sense of order in their relationships, but it's not because the top guys are mean to everyone else. Alphas make even less sense for humans. Now, let's talk about how all of this became known as toxic masculinity. The first alpha wolves were thought to be pairs of males and females, but this idea went out the window when people tried to explain human society in terms of this natural law. If you think there must be a hierarchy in human society, with alphas at the top, you'll want to be an alpha, right? And if you don't understand a bunch of old studies on wolves, you'll think that this means you must be a jerk to everyone around you. Like wolves, humans have a sense of their place in the world, but like wolves, it's not that simple. You might be in one place in the social structure of your workplace, but in a friend group or community group you belong to, you might be in a completely different place. You don't have to be very aware of every difference in social status, either. If you want to date someone who is a lot better or worse than you in some way, for example, they make a lot more money than you, that could be awkward. But you can also live a normal, happy life without worrying about where everyone fits in a hierarchy that not everyone can agree on. How the word Sigma fits in. Sigma males are a newer idea than alpha males. A group of guys had convinced themselves that all men are in a hierarchy with alphas at the top, which was already wrong, and then they realized that it was exhausting to have to constantly start fights with other people just to win them and prove that you were the alpha. Even chimpanzees, which are the closest animals to us in the wild, don't do this. Frans de Waal, a primate expert, gave a talk about alpha chimpanzees. He talked about how they care for others and are cared for in return. He said, "I think that if you look up the term alpha male on the internet, you will find a lot of business books that tell you how to be an alpha male. These books tell you how to beat people up and hit them over the head to show them who's boss and tell them not to mess with you, etc. In short, an alpha male is a bully in their eyes. I don't like that kind of explanation at all. It's used in a way that has nothing to do with what a real alpha male chimpanzee is. But the idea of alpha males became so ingrained in toxic masculinity circles that those who held on to it couldn't let go. In other words, they looked up to alphas but also thought of them as horrible people. You wouldn't want to be that kind of alpha, and you wouldn't want to be friends with them either. So, it's time to get rid of the cliché, right? You might think so. If you already believe that men should be in a certain order, it would be hard to just stop doing that and start living like a normal person. But these guys had already set the tone for their subculture with their strange ideas about what it means to be a man. Alphas were just one part of that. We're now in the territory of pickup artists, red pills, incels, and MGTOW. Time for an alternative to the alpha, a guy who isn't in the hierarchy but is still better than everyone in it. That's what a sigma male is supposed to be, and it's even more nonsense than the alpha/beta/omega thing because it's made up and not based on an old theory of how animals act. Beta is just the second level in a hierarchy, and omega, which is the last letter of the Greek alphabet, is the lowest level. Well, sigma is another Greek letter. Several explainer articles, like this one at Mel, give a brief history of how the term became popular. This quote from the author Miles Clay says it all. Identifying as a sigma male is, at its core, the same as trying to figure out whom you are based on your zodiac sign, your Myers-Briggs type, your Enneagram number, or your Hogwarts house. We want to learn more about ourselves, and our biases lead us to look for that information through a set of rules for assigning, and in this case, grading, personality. Of course, this process usually leads to joining the archetype you like best, which is why the Sigma title has a lot of weird gatekeeping. It has to be rare to have any power, but every dork will want to say he's in this group. At least people who read horoscopes and share astrology memes know it's all made up. Well, most of them do. This makes it easier to let go of personality types that don't help you or that you just don't want to think about anymore. Maybe you used to think of yourself as a Ravenclaw, but now that you know more about J.K. Rowling, you'd rather move on and share memes about being an Enneagram 7. It's harder to make this kind of change when your personality type is based on strong beliefs about gender, social status, and supposed biological roots. Or, to put it another way, if you think of yourself as a Sigma or want to be one, you have already seen through some of the crap. Do yourself a favor and get out of there as far as you can.